Welcome to episode 36 of the Red Man Group. We are presented by 21 Studios. We are live in Orlando, Florida, just after the 21 convention. Joining me today, our distinguished panel. We're going to go from my left to right. We've got Sam Bada, followed by Goldman Unleashed. Of course, the distinguished George Bruno, myself, Donovan Sharp, Anthony Johnson, founder of 21 Studios, Richard Cooper, of course, and Drew Bay. This particular episode, we're going to talk about something called the purple pill. We got a lot of guys running around who proclaim that they're red pill aware, but they're really just purple pill. In other words, they don't really buy into red pill theories, red pill thoughts. They don't really live the red pill life. They kind of go halfway, and that's what we call the purple pill. And I'd like to throw this to Anthony first. Why do you think people proclaim that they're red pill, but they don't really go all the way with it? More importantly, why do they want to profit from it?
Yeah, so I think a lot of what you're seeing lately, at least in that, to narrow it down a little bit, is just profit margins, profit seeking. They're seeing a brand take off, not just in the red pill community that we identify with and we are part of, but also further outside of that community. So the brand's taking off, and they're like RSD. I saw yesterday put out a video for it, or the day before.
Right. The
Red Pill Manifesto or some stupid shit, and they don't have a clue what it is. They're seizing the opportunity to make more money, and they don't give a shit about the ideas. They don't give a shit about the content, and I don't think they give a shit about the community at this point, the manosphere at large, or the pickup community, or the red pill community. So that's a really good example, and that's my thought on it. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Now, Sam Bada has done a couple of the audiobook versions for Rollo Tomasi's Rational Male. Sam, what are your thoughts on the difference between red pill truth and the quote unquote purple pill?
Red pill truth is the truth. And the truth is, it's the only way to save men's lives. Men kill themselves 5 times for every one woman that kills herself. And the reason for that is that there are plenty of people like Evan Mark Katz, who made a friend of mine who is quite famous almost commit suicide after he paid him $5,000 to give him dating advice. And then thankfully, he came around to me, and at that time, I had already narrated the first Rational Male book by Rollo Tomasi, and everything changed for him. His life got so much better. So the red pill is a truth that tells men to improve themselves in every possible way, not just for women, but for their whole lives, because we're missing leaders as men in this country because we've been demonized for our masculinity all these years. And purple pill is a philosophy that sounds good because we've all been reared, or at least I was, to be a nice guy. And that's great. I'm still nice. But now, because of these men that have written these books, I have become a man for the first time in my life. So the difference is the red pill teaches you how to be a strong man that is a leader in your world, in your society, and can change the whole world. But the purple pill is a philosophy that tells you to be basically a wimp. And being a wimp will attract women. And it'll make your life so much better at work. But the truth is, that's what's leading men to suicide. And that's what makes me cry when I'm narrating these audiobooks. Because now that I've got some of them under my belt, and I'm using my real name for the first time in my career, I have men contacting me constantly, telling me those stories that y'all have heard yourself about men that were on the verge of killing themselves. And because of the red pill, not the purple pill.
Right. Yeah, we've talked a lot about the stories that we're hearing from our attendees here at the 21 convention. I kind of skipped over it at the beginning. Drew Bay, I've actually had the pleasure of meeting you for the very first time. Talk to our audience about your experience here at the 21 convention.
Wow. It's different. I wouldn't say been red-pilled so much as I have been red slow-release patched. I started speaking at the 21 convention, I think it was 2009,
yeah.
Before it was red pill focus, when it was more PUA stuff. And from that started following Anthony, and started following Rollo and Richard and everybody else. And the more I started looking into it, the more I started realizing, holy crap, this is, it was an awakening. It wasn't one of these moments where it was like, bam, and I had it. It was like a little bit over time. Don't want to bore you guys with my personal stuff, but
no, please do. We like to hear these origin stories.
Well, it has made a significant difference. with my relationship with my wife, with business, even more than anything else. And you talked earlier about pursuing excellence rather than women. Women will follow.
You're a
And-
father too, right, Drew?
Yeah, father. Actually, man, it is essential that people not only learn this but pass this on to their kids. I'm going home and I'm talking to my son. He's going to watch all these videos. I've been talking with him about
Right.
Rollo's books. I don't want to see him go through what a lot of other men are going through right now. And I think it's what could I have been earlier if I had known this stuff when I was in high school? I want to give him those advantages. It was great. There was another guy that was here for the convention that brought his son, and I told him, you have no idea, how much of an advantage you have, what your dad is doing for you, bringing you here. But yeah, it's this is not something that maybe I should do. This is something that's mandatory. If you want to have the best life that you can, if you care about your son, you will red pill. You will show him what it means to be a man. If you care about your daughters, you will set an example for what kind of man they should aspire to. And just at home, I'm thinking about this too with my wife, and I'm telling her, the way that you act, you're setting an example for our son with what he should tolerate or look for in a wife later on. So, and it has, the difference is just phenomenal. So it's gone from, I'm happy with things to, this is the fucking life I want.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see you make that to follow the convention too for so many years now and be a part of it like this.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Now, Goldman Unleashed, I think this is your first, you did a Redman group with us a couple weeks back, but this is your first Redman group live. Talk about your experience here at the 21 convention in terms of, again, we'll compare Red Pill to the Purple Pill. Do you see Purple Pill guys? You see conversions happening. What do you think are some of the goals in terms of Red Pill versus Purple Pills? Are guys buying into it? Are they kind of going halfway? Are they all in?
What I've seen, what I really appreciate about the 21 convention, the guys are all in here. Like that's the agenda. The agenda is truth. Everybody here is so incredibly diverse from different backgrounds, different personalities, but we're all single-mindedly searching for the truth. And that, like, to see that, to be a part of this group, because it's so rare.
Right.
Even there's no, it's not even money-based. This is on a search for truth. And it's amazing. So I've seen that. So I've seen those guys jump all in. And it's just like, it's refreshing because I'm surrounded. I live in New York City where it's just fake bullshit
Right.
coming at you left and right.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the man to my left here is George. I think we call him the Sultan. George the Sultan. Bruno, listen, look at him. He looks like a sultan. I think that's why we call him the Sultan. George, you're on the front lines. You do the exit interviews for all of the speakers. Tell me about your experience, man. Like, what are you seeing? What are you seeing from the attendees? What are some of your exit interviews in terms of the speakers? What are you learning? What's it been like for you so far?
There are common themes amongst all the speakers. And one thing that I kept hearing from speaker after speaker is do the work. One way or the other, someone would say those three words in the interview, do the work.
Right.
And that should spark interest in the watchers. What is this work that you talk about? Because everyone thinks they're doing their best. And for the watchers that are out there and people listening, you need to know that there's options. And I think that's what the Red Pill does. It gives people options. There are guys who think that the only option after a breakup, and everyone goes through them, is suicide or alcohol or drugs or just Doritos and
Some sort of
Netflix.
escape.
And to know that you don't have to go there. Can you imagine your response to chaos, disorder, grief would be going to the gym instead? We're not trained like that. We're trained to self-destruct. It's the guy that says, and I've heard people say this, I couldn't live without her. I wouldn't know what to do if she left. And then guess what? When she does leave, he doesn't know what to do without her. So when you keep using those words for years and years and years, you're training yourself to fail. So doing the work means that you are training yourself to succeed. And I've seen that from one thought leader and content creator to the next. And I've interviewed you all. And you're all saying it in one way or another. You're giving men options.
Good stuff.
Donovan, if you don't mind if I hop in real quick.
Yeah, good.
This is your first time at the convention yourself. How'd that go?
I got to tell you, man. I remember when I walked in and I went over and I touched Ed for the first time. I touched Ed Lattimore. We're both like, group was like, I can't believe it's you. We both acted like little girls. So that was pretty cool. The one thing that changed everything for me happened 5 minutes later. Richard is up on the stage and he says, oh yeah, by the way, Donovan Sharp just walked in. And I put my hand up. I didn't expect anything. Everybody turns around and starts applauding. And I remember my vision just kind of went blurry because I'm thinking, all right, I got to be cool. I got to act like I've done this before. But to me, that was the culmination of a lot of hard work. And to me, it's really cool for people to come up to me and say, hey, you know what? I watch you every day. I see you on the Red Man group and the things that you've been through, your story resonated with my story. Because of you, I've made these changes. Because of you, I've sought out these changes. I'm working out more. I'm better with women, et cetera, et cetera. So I think the most rewarding thing for me is guys coming up to me and telling me that I have helped them out. And Richard, I wanted to get your take on this because, and I don't know if you want to get personal with your story, but Richard was baptized by fire, just like I was, as a lot of you guys probably already know. A lot of men get baptized by fire over and over again, but they don't want to go all the way. They don't want to go completely red pill. They want to go purple pill. They want to figure out another way to digest it easier. Why do you think guys just don't go all in?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, yeah, you're right. So I was baptized by fire. Long story short, but basically it was like 3 back-to-back events for me. It was divorce, dealing with legislative changes in Parliament that really affected my business to the point where, like, basically 12 years of really hard work, like blood, sweat, and tears, was about to get flushed down the toilet because my competitors were just unscrupulous, let's say. And the last but not least was, another breakup. We all go through breakups in our lives. And I mean, I was like 42. Was it 40? Yeah, I was around 42. I mean, I'm going to be 45 next month. And it was just like, why am I completely dysfunctional, unable to work? I can't, I just couldn't focus. I couldn't work. I would go to the gym, not want to pick anything up, not want to put it down.
Right.
None of those things. And it was just enough was enough. And it's the old story of, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I was at a men's retreat that December. And my buddy Tom was talking to me about some stuff and what's going on with your life. And I told him, what was all up. And he goes, you should read The Rational Male by Rollo Tomassi. And I downloaded the book, and it's funny because as Sam was talking there, I was like, whoa.
There you go.
He's like, shivers went down my spine because hearing you speak through the mic and your voice coming through the speakers was like listening to you narrate The Rational Male.
Yeah.
So it was like, it wasn't any kind of rage or anger or anything along that lines. It was just like, oh, now I get it.
Right.
And I mean, guys that watch my channel, I haven't been red pilled that long. I mean, I've probably always been like kind of like a blue pilled alpha sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
But like when you actually are ready for that information to clarify the confusion that doesn't allow you to proceed forward in your life, for me it was fast. And I started making videos on my channel talking about a lot of those key elements and concepts and explaining them, and people would ask me questions and I would try to dissect it and give them the most valuable tools available. So sometimes when people see me, they're like, oh, your shit's amazing. You must be doing this. It's like, no, man, it's only been a couple of years. It's only been recently that I've actually been able to comprehend these concepts. And I still like revert back to old conditioning that does not serve me. And I have to catch myself constantly.
Right. Yeah. I think, my story is it's similar to yours in that when I first started consuming red pill content, I didn't think back to myself, I don't know. It looks like there might be something to this, but I'm not 100% sure. No, I was all in right from the start. And I want to turn my next question here to Goldman, because Goldman you're a unique individual. I mean, the guy looks like Indiana Jones, right? I want to reach in and I want to grab his heart, right? For anybody. Yeah, right. But Goldman is, he's an interesting guy. And he takes photographies that we all know as strategies and techniques, but most men find the red pill through heartbreak or sexual frustration. I would actually like to know what red pilled you, or was it just a series of unfortunate events that just caused you to say, hey, there's got to be a better way?
I wanted to get laid.
Okay, there we go.
No, yeah. So I got into game. I think through that I found Royce, and then Rollo, and then like I said, when or like you said, as soon as I read it, it hit me like this is the
Right.
truth. Because I had my background, like I studied religious studies, philosophy in college, so I've always been that's like red pill for the world.
Sure. Yeah.
This was red pill for sexual dynamics. So as soon as I read it, it was the first time I'd ever seen it. I was like, here it is, finally laid out. This is the truth.
So you already knew how to play mind games, but now it was turbo mind
Yes,
games.
and then and it was life changing and just like very very satisfying. Like that burden of false information on your shoulders was just gone.
So there was never a halfway point. There was never maybe. It was just
No,
like
no.
that.
It was as soon as I read it, especially Rolo's stuff, I was like, this is the real deal.
Sam.
I
Did you-
second that notion.
Nice.
Sam, did you, before Rollo asked you to narrate his books, were you red pill aware, as it were, or were you not familiar with his work? I mean,
I had learned from some of the PUA guys in the past and spent a lot of money trying to learn that stuff, but I still didn't get it. I didn't get it. Rollo, I keep telling people that it's like narrating Rollo stuff. It's like performing words that were channeled through that man
I swear.
from
man.
God.
Yeah.
Same with Ivan Throne's work. I mean,
Oh
between
my
Rollo
God.
Tomasi and Ivan Throne, basically in Los Angeles, I was invited into a bunch of think tank groups years ago, and all of those guys are ridiculously successful. They started with nothing, but some of them are billionaires now. But you know, they're humble, just like you are. But the fact is that I try to tell my friends that I grew up with, went to college with, you know, how to master things in their life.
Right.
But all these years, I wasn't able to give them step by step how to do it. I just knew how to do it. But these guys have the secrets in their books on how to master everything in life that matters, that helps you to change the whole world, that's going to attract women to you, that's going to make you the leader that the kids need to see right now. Because the world, like Ivan Throne says, is dark. And we need more people to read these books because it's changed my life completely.
Is it just me, or when Ivan Throne talks, right? It's like he's looking into your soul.
Oh, he's powerful.
Like the guy is. I mean, I'm scared to look at the guy because he's going to see like all of my deepest, darkest secrets. You again, you guys are watching the Red Man Group episode 36. We're live from Orlando, Florida. The 21 convention ended last night, so we're doing our post roundup activities. We got a couple of questions here in the chat. From the first one comes from Tyler Graves. He says, "Quote: Is purple pill just an unwillingness to accept hard red pill truths? That just seems like someone is stuck in the denial phase of being red pilled. Is the purple pill any deeper than that?" Drew, I'd like to start with you.
Oh, I don't feel completely qualified to answer, but my impression of this is that a lot of these guys in the purple pill are like pussies who grow beards because they want to have the appearance of being red pill without actually having to do the other work, going through and having the content of character.
Right.
It's like image versus identity. They're thinking about what people think of them as opposed to developing what they actually are. Again, thinking that the beard is going to make them look manly without actually having to be manly. It seems like
Right.
they're stuck. They can't quite get past that particular point because they aren't willing to do the hard stuff. Again, my non-expert impression of it.
Hey, you're on the panel, man. You're on the panel for a reason.
Drew's background mostly is in fitness and high intensity training.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that was him
shows that I
speaking.
know.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
I'll-
good stuff. That's a good answer.
Yeah, I'll hit on that if that's okay. It's it's like that old adage where you like take your shot, you miss the target, and then you just kind of like paint the target around it and call it a target, sort of thing.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's really what the purple pill is. It's like it's it's kind of like a version of it. It's probably better than the blue pill.
Yep.
But I mean, like the origin of the red pill, blue pill thing comes from the Matrix, obviously, and you're either immersed into the Matrix or you're going to walk around sleepwalking through your life as a blue pilled zombies, sort of thing. So it's very much like a light switch. It's either on or off.
Yeah, I got a little bit different take on this. This company in this convention was kind of stuck in a unintentional purple pill for a long time, kind of like purgatory. And that was like he was saying, like I think you just said it actually, purple pill is better than blue pill.
No, that's what I think Richard said
Yeah,
that,
Richard
but
said
I
that, yeah.
I nodded, so that counts.
I agree
So-
with that to an extent, with the caveat of it's better, but probably a little more dangerous.
It's
like-
closer to the truth, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But this company and me, I think you would have called us Purple Pill a couple years ago for sure. I know when Rolla first saw you, he was like, oh, it's Purple Pill shit. And then we had a few guys coming in like Tanner and the Private Man kind of making the transition. May he rest in peace. But I didn't actually know about the red pill at all. And I knew that I didn't identify the blue pill as the blue pill then, but I did identify the mainstream as kind of blue pill at the time in different words.
Okay.
And I recognized the pickup community and seduction community was a significant step in the right direction.
What
I
was the
like-
flashpoint? When did you decide, okay, we're gonna change directions here?
That was actually an email from an attendee. We had the Under 21 convention, a junior convention of this in 2016, Orlando, right here down the street, another hotel. And right after that, I gave a talk on my experience with a BPD chick, the unofficial wife, ex-wife now. And one of the attendees, I had a lot of attendees come up to me. One of them though was like, "Hey, you got to read this guy Rollo Tomasi." The name rung a bell lightly, but I was like, "Yeah, I think I've heard of it. I'm not really sure." He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna send you an email. It's about this red pill stuff. You're gonna like it a lot." And the red pill as well, I'd heard of it. I'd visited it a couple times
Right.
because they sent a shit ton of traffic to our videos, but I never knew what it was. I was like, "Oh, it's some group of men that like our videos. Cool." It didn't occur to me there's a whole movement,
Right.
very similar to the pickup community. I was like, "Oh, they like our stuff. Great. Okay, I'm busy building business and shit." So finally, when I got that email from that guy, it was very detailed, very well put together, very well thought out. He basically, I think, identified what I needed to hear and the links to Rollo's book, to Rollo's work on his blog, and the Red Pill subreddit, and what I needed to read. And I read through it because I knew this guy in person. This guy's badass. And basically it was that email. And then Rollo's work specifically, and then the Red Pill overall. And I was like, look at this shit. Fuck yeah. This is the tribe I want to get in. Fuck
Right.
yeah.
Suffice to say, you made the right decision.
Oh, fuck yeah. This has
Absolutely.
been, I mean, it's just never, we can't even
This has
stop
been
going.
unbelievable. This has
Yeah.
been unbelievable. George, I'd like to actually get your take on this. You're a man who you're an expert in your craft, and I think Red Pill Truth has a lot of similarities to what you do. I don't know that people would identify you as Red Pill per se, yet you're one of the main cogs that keeps this machine going. What are your thoughts on the Purple Pill not going all the way in, trying to find another easier way to sort of digest the truth and live a true life of dominance?
I would say it's like going to war without having your full armor on.
Wow.
For instance, you can wear a Kevlar vest, but those who are on front lines and those who are kicking down doors have a plate that's inserted in there to protect the vital organs. And I think Purple Pill men have they appear to be strong men. The beard thing like Drew was talking about. Add a flannel shirt to that, some tattoos, go to the gym a couple days a week. And you think these guys are just, impervious. I look at them and I see vulnerability. That's what I see. Purple Pill still makes you vulnerable. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be a ruthless, stone cold prick. That's not what we're talking about.
Right.
We still have to love our kids. We still have to love our family. Love has to flow out of us. We have to be able to receive love. But there are people who have to be stone cold for a period of time to protect their hearts, protect their minds, because they are so vulnerable. And I like to say, and that usually manifests itself in the MGTOW movement. And I don't like to hammer on them too much, a little bit, but not too much, because I say MGTOW is a nice place to visit, sometimes
Yes.
a necessary place to visit, but I don't want to live there.
Right.
And just because I look at it like, riding a bike. How many times did you fall when you were learning how to ride a bike as a kid? Did you fall once and say, that's it, I'm done with bikes? You didn't do that. When you were a toddler beginning to walk, you fell on your bottom many, many times. And no one says, this kid just isn't cut out for walking. Let's just let him crawl for the rest of his life. And a good parent says, no, he's going to keep trying until he's up and walking on his own. And I think that's what the Red Pill does. It helps men get up and walk on their own, not hide behind a beard, not hide behind an image, because I cut hair for a living and I work with a lot of guys, and There's a lot of crying done in the grooming studio.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty deep, and a lot of nerves get touched. And these aren't wimpy men. I hear their stories. I had a guy who came home from work, went to his house, opened up the front door. His entire home was empty. A note was taped on the wall, said this marriage is over. His dogs were gone, his furniture was gone. But he kept his haircut appointment. Came in, had that what the fuck just happened look on his face from 2 hours earlier. I saw him with that stare, that just like, what the fuck just happened stare on his face. I've been cutting his hair now for about 3 years and watching him recover and go through hardcore beta and blue pill stages. And I'm working with him every few weeks, little by little. But I work with guys who are, my platform is such where I catch guys when their mother just dies, when they find out their dad just died from cancer, when they find the note taped to the wall that says this marriage is over. So I catch guys on that continuum of happiness. I know when their kids graduate from high school. I know when they get a bad diagnosis. So I've been hearing it all for decades. And for me, giving men options, I always like to say this. I ask questions more than give answers.
Okay.
And in some of my training, which I worked for 22 years in another field before I cut hair, one of my slogans was gather data, give hope. Gather data, give hope, in that order. And some people would say to me, you're the most interesting man in the world. And I would say, that's not true. I'm the most interested man in the world, and I'm interested in you. And they would, like, people don't know how to react to that. Men don't know how to react to that. Because I don't do...
How do women react to that?
Well, that's part of my game, being the most interested man
There
in
you
the
go.
world.
There you go.
I know.
Part of my... I possess a unique set of skills. And if I find you, I will date you. You know,
Good luck.
from Taken. I think I have the right, I have license to ask people the deep questions. How you doing? Not just, how's your kids doing? What's going on? What? I have a platform where I can ask the deepest questions. And I will take a towel out of the cabinet and hand it to a guy when those tears are coming down. And it happens every day. Every day.
About that. George mentioned something very interesting. I think the red pill community, a lot of times, we're called a cult, or all of these negative stereotypes. Oh, we're a hate group and we're rape apologists. And of course, anyone who knows what we're really about knows that this is far from the truth. But something that George points out is the way religion works. I think any religious organization, any religious denomination gets most of its members during catastrophic events. When someone loses all of their money, they all of a sudden find Jesus. When someone goes through a horrific event, they turn to God or whatever religion there is.
When a girl hits the wall.
Yeah, when a woman hits the wall, she finds a religion called the bottle, right? So I think we all know and understand that a lot of guys find the red pill again because of heartbreak or sexual frustration. Do you think that once they delve into it, and I'll ask this to you, Anthony, because you're the founder of 21 Studios. Do you think that guys come to us with the intention of sticking around, or just getting what they need to get out of it just in order to go get laid? Because in my opinion, don't get me wrong, getting laid is great, but the PUAs of the world, or the pickup artistries, and I think you said this in one of our exit interviews. You said that they know how to get the girl, but they don't really know how to keep the girl. Any man can sleep with any woman on any given day. I mean, the stars align and you get lucky. But if you can keep sleeping with the same beautiful women, that's where the real skill comes in. So what are your thoughts on guys coming in and just getting the whole I want to sleep with hot girls all day?
Let me answer the second part of your question. I think those are first, and then the first one might have to be reminded of. I'm running on like 2 hours of sleep. So I had some commentary I wanted to throw out that you just set me up perfectly for. So I think a lot of it, what you see in the Purple Pill, particularly with the dating coaches trying to ape the brand now, the Red Pill Manifesto, and 8 months ago it was that RSD Todd guy doing like, this is the Red Pill. It was like complete nonsense. It had nothing to do with it. So I think a lot of what you see with those kind of pickup coaches today, them aping the brand, you see what I think is called like pickup bravado.
Mm.
So they will have these flashy skills that they show these guys who are like total betas and have zero game. These guys are super impressed by makeouts and shit like that. And these guys will. I'm not saying these guys don't get laid. What I'm saying is that pickup bravado reveals that they don't understand women. They understand pickup. They don't understand women. And there's a fundamental difference in that. And I'll even go further to say that those pickup coaches, these purple pill dating coaches today, RSD or otherwise, they fundamentally do not understand women. And I think that's why they act in these flashy ways and they're doing these outlandish videos. The Red Pill Manifesto, Red Pill, whatever the fuck. It's all nonsense.
Graphics and all that.
Yeah, all the graphics
and all
and
that, yeah.
yeah, I think even Owen Cook got involved with one once with the Todd one. It's like
Right.
he knew Rollo's work. He knew about the Red Pill. He had every chance to correct that video. And Todd, like, you're not doing this right. He didn't give a shit. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there that a lot of these guys aping the brand, it's this bravado and it's fake. Like kind of like George was talking about. It's the appearance of alphaness, and it's alphaness so they're working hypergamy in a certain way, but it's very narrow and very limited, and they don't understand women.
You know what's interesting? I was just kind of sitting here thinking about it. It's all these guys that have been led to the red pill usually get there through some form of blunt trauma, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if these purple pill coaches have had that rite of passage yet.
Hmm.
You know, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So they're probably looking at it more from the perspective of like profiteering.
Yep.
It's a business. Let's showcase our glamorous sort of way of life.
Let's
sort
get
of thing.
SEO off Richard's channel because we have
Yeah.
Red Pill in the title.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, like all the guys that have been here this weekend, speakers, especially they're, they just want to give something back. I mean, none of us work for free. I mean, like we obviously charge for our time whenever we're creating something, whether it's like a ticket to attend the conference or anything like that. But I think that the basis, like the base operating system,
Yeah.
if you will, like our belief system is to actually help dudes. Like we actually want to help people.
Yeah, I want to add to that because when I got into game, which led me to the red pill, like I was getting laid a lot, which was awesome. But it was like, I don't think I could have been able to, I didn't have the tools to have a relationship with a beautiful woman. When I read red pill stuff and Rollo's stuff, that gave me the tools to understand women. And I got into a beautiful, healthy relationship for 2 years. It's what I needed, but it was because I knew how she was thinking. I knew how to act because it was the red pill. If I didn't read the red pill, I probably wouldn't have been able to have that relationship, which really did help me grow.
You've written about that on your blog too, right?
Yeah.
That relationship. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
reading
I
about
think you
that.
talked about that a couple of years ago too, didn't you?
Yeah, it was very, it was important. It was
Yeah.
what I needed, what we both needed. We both grew as people. We split up, but we needed it at the time.
Yeah, I mean, no harm, no foul, I guess, in that regard. My take on the purple pill is I think Richard hit on it. I think it was either one of you two. You guys are the same person sometimes. It's kind of weird.
Kratos.
I think it's definitely for profiteering. And Richard, you hit it right on the head. I think a lot of these purple pill coaches, those guys, you can tell when you're watching someone, you can tell when a man has been through some shit, right? You can tell when a man has fought some battles. You can tell when a man has been screwed over by a woman. You can tell when he has those battle scars. And a lot of these purple pill guys, they sell you sunshine and puppies and rainbows. And they're like, oh, just think positive and everything is going to be fine. Be a little bit masculine, but don't be so masculine to the point to where you want to piss her off because
Don't be bitter like those angry red
my
pill
God, give
dudes.
me a break. Yeah. You don't you hear this all the time. Don't go to bed angry or upset. I think that's dangerous. And you got a lot of purple pilled guys out there, and I don't want to say any names. I don't want to give them any more publicity. I think it's dangerous for both men and women because they end up right back at square one. And listen, when you see the truth and then you revert back to it, my thinking is that you end up worse than you already were before you started. So I think it's dangerous in that regard. And I think a lot of guys out there think that they think that they're red pill, but they're really not. Like they haven't really fought those battles.
Yeah.
I've got another comment here from Miami J. Says, now this is actually sort of a political question as it applies to red pill versus purple pill. He says, quote, as long as we have politicians taking the feminist or femme hardline and marketing to femmes and SJWs, it will be very hard to eradicate. How do we end feminism on a political level in government? Wow. Man, who wants to take a stab at that one?
Shit, man, that's a deep question.
Take away women's right to vote.
Jesus
There
Christ.
it is. Take away women's rights to
Yeah,
vote.
it's it's
What-
the whole responsibility, authority thing.
When you vote, you are asking people to represent you. What are they doing? They're passing laws. Those laws have to be enforced by men with guns, putting their necks on the line. If we were to staff the police and military on a merit basis, which is the only way we should, it would be purely men. Men are taking the responsibility for enforcing the laws that are voted for by these politicians. These politicians should only be voted for by people who are putting their necks on the line to enforce those laws. No responsibility? You're not putting your neck on the line?
Sure.
You don't get to have a say.
Yeah.
You may have to jump in this real quick. I have a little bit different take on it. I think so. I'm following what Drew's saying, but I think the bigger issue is that women don't have skin in the game. So then at no point in their lives, at 18, at 30, and then older, so any point current in their lives or then looking back on it, they were never at a point where they could get drafted into the military. So when I vote, like in 2016, I had a little brother. I still do. He's 21 now. When I vote, I think about the candidate in a major election, general election, which one is pro-peace and pro-war, or which, now both of them could go to war, of course, right?
Sure.
But which one is more likely? Which one is less likely? Which one is going to put me or my little brother in danger? I have a sister. I have two sisters as well. You guys met one of them. At no point, I love them both to death, but at no point in their lives when they were young or older, if they have daughters someday, those people, those citizens who have the right to vote, to exert force through vote, and like Drew was talking about, through law enforcement, there's a major disconnect. That's what I talked about in my speech this year. 1920 was the death of equality in this country between rights and responsibilities. Yep. So I'm not opposed to women voting. I'm opposed to women voting and then not having some sort of connection to military draft. I don't think women belong in the military, in combat at least. In the military otherwise, perhaps. But so there's a lot of, I don't have a solution, but I do think that Drew is hitting on there's a really serious problem. And we need to have an open debate about that and free speech and discuss it because it's fucking serious.
There's also that tried and tested method of you don't get voting rights unless you have property rights.
Okay.
Which has been successful in the past. But, like to that question more specifically, I really don't see any circumstance unless like the shit hits the fan, the zombie apocalypse comes or the aliens invade, in which we're going to see a change in governance in the Western world in our lifetime. I mean, the government is completely infiltrated with, female primary social decision making and ideas. It continues to grow. It doesn't get smaller. It doesn't contract. Like everything out there is essentially designed to indoctrinate society to be more feminized and weak, so that they can control it. It's not, society is not what you think it is. If you want to apply the red pill to politics, that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah,
I mean, it's very, very difficult for me to sit here as a guy and look at any political party and say it's got the best interests of its citizens in mind. It's got the best interests of itself in mind, and people that will vote for its policies. And the people that vote for the retarded policies that most governments put out there are people that want bigger government, free healthcare, free welfare. It's like, give them more free shit and they'll keep voting for our policies. But there's no real true benefit to society at large, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I remember, I wasn't around for this, but I remember a slogan, old enough to fight, old enough to vote. I don't know, maybe the voting age was a little higher, but they were still drafting 18-year-olds into the military. And I'm not a historian by any stretch of the imagination, but that little slogan had to have come from somewhere. And I took it to mean that, hey, if a kid is old enough to go overseas and fight for our country, then they should have those voting rights. So I think Anthony says something, very poignant there. Women have to have skin in the game. If they had skin in the game, I think they would probably make better decisions. And we'll liken that to sexual promiscuity. Even when women are having irresponsible sex, they don't really have skin in the game because of the birth control pill.
Well, I'm going to clarify this too. If women vote for a candidate and there's a war imminent in the country and the country goes to war, they're not going to die. Their daughters are not going to die. Their nieces are not going to die. Your brother's going to die. My brother's going to die. My nephews are going to die. If my father was younger, or when he was younger, he would go to die. Maybe I wouldn't be born. So that's the fucking issue. So when I say skin in the game, it's like, who's going to die?
Right.
If you vote and your candidate for president, commander in the military, takes us to war. They don't even, women tell you, I met a woman recently, 30 years old, grew up in Florida just like me, didn't have a fucking clue what the selective service was. Intelligent, otherwise seemed sharp, articulate, did not even understand what it was. She had a brother, she had a father. I'm like, yeah, you guys, they were Americans, grew up there their whole life. At any point, they could have been drafted into the military and gotten their fucking head blown off,
Right.
or come back missing a leg, or watch their best friend burn alive. women are not even remotely aware. They are so oblivious to this. They're not even educated on it at this point.
And they're so quick to make snap decisions
Yeah.
based on what they see on Instagram and Twitter
Yeah.
and on TV.
They
It's
will-
just
Well, it's
they
all
will-
based on like the kindness and the global, like that.
Yeah, right.
What does Jack Donovan say? The empire of nothing.
Yeah.
yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Let me. I don't know if you're into the whole political thing here, George, but what would be a solution? Of course, Drew says, "Hey, listen, take away a woman's right to vote."
Unless they want to serve in the military in some capacity,
Okay,
let them earn it.
skin in the game, right?
Exactly.
Skin in the game. What say you?
My thoughts are,
And the reason I ask you is because you're very thoughtful. I've spent some time with you. You're a very
Yeah.
thoughtful individual.
Yeah.
So I want to.
when I was going through divorce, my attorney was very involved in local politics in Philadelphia. And one night after a big political meeting with the party, and it was a conservative Republican party, he was quite active. They were driving home, and I am a conservative, and I'm not even sure I want to identify as a Republican as much anymore because I feel like my party left me. You know what I have? I have the values of your grandfather. That's when people say to me, "What do you believe in?" I said, "I have the values of your grandfather," because most people's grandfathers were a little more conservative. I don't care who you are. I don't care how far lefty or wild you are. Your grandfather probably had more common sense than you do. So that's usually my answer when people say, where are you politically? But they came to a red light, my lawyer and his wife. They're coming home from a political meeting, and he looked at his wife, and this meeting went on till like midnight, and he looked at her and he said, "Do we really want to spend more time with these people?" And she said, "No." And at that moment, they left being involved in politics. And then they were the first family in this country to accept these lost boys of the Sudan, where their parents were murdered with machetes. And there was a pack of young African men, like hundreds, just traveling through Africa, just eating roots and dirt and bugs. And they got rescued. And then they got adopted all over the world. So my lawyer and his wife adopted several of the original lost boys of Africa. And they decided to put their charity and their compassion and their money where their mouth is. And it's funny, the boys are all like valedictorians of their, and these are kids that saw their parents hacked to fucking death with machetes. Okay. Black African boys who are now like they're in Yale, Harvard. I mean, they're just incredible, incredible human beings. But I will never, ever forget when he said, "Do we really want to keep spending time with these people?" That changed me. That flipped a switch inside my head. And at that time, I was quite politically active. And I was door knocking and leaving door hangers and
You were that guy.
talking. I wasn't a bumper sticker guy. But I will tell you this: at that moment, and this was 15 years ago, I left the world of being politically active. Right now, I am politically active in one way: how I flip a lever once I'm in the voting booth. For me, when it's time to vote, I vote my conscience in that booth, and that's what I do. And I vote based upon my values, period. What is good for the country? As a father of 3 children, what's going to be good for my children? I know I'm not going to be here. They're going to outlive me. So I want to vote for the future of my country. I might not agree with a certain candidate 100%, but I don't agree with anyone 100% on anything.
Right.
So, and I don't do this, the lesser of two evils thing. I don't vote that way. But honestly, I just think as far as political activity, most people don't even know the issues. And we've watched the comedic reporters go on college campuses and ask funny questions and trick
Crowder?
college students. Yeah, Crowder.
Yeah, he's
And
good. Yeah.
it's just, people are not aware of issues.
No.
So as soon as you're aware of issues, it affects how your finger flips levers.
It's interesting that you mentioned your grandfather's way of voting, your grandfather's political view, because my granddad. I mean, I was born in England. My half my family's from there. He always used to say that it's better to vote on the conservative side because they're least likely to fuck things up. And I think it's true. I mean, whether it's conservative, like, for me, it's like viewing things kind of conservative, maybe libertarian sort of thing. But like smaller government, lower taxes, like more male friendly sort of thing. So, I mean, to more directly like answer that question, how do you vote? Because I mean, you have a voting system which is broken. It sucks, but I mean, you still have to cast a vote because it exists. Vote for something that's got conservative values. Don't vote for socialist values. Don't vote for more government. Don't vote for free shit that people get handed to them if they don't do the work. Like those are the things that create a weak society.
I wanted to add this too to the original question.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably move off it at some point, but he asked about like getting feminism out of politics and the political process.
Right.
It's really entrenched, as we discussed on the panel and at the convention at this point. And my talk, that was a big focus of it. I'll say this: I do believe it's possible. I do believe, in my personal opinion, the 2016 election was an example of that. The feminist matriarchy, dystopian, shithole they wanted to create, that went out the window. They did not get their queen. It was her turn for
Yes,
them.
it was supposed to be a coronation, man.
And her turn went right out the fucking window where it belonged.
Right.
How arrogant of them to even think that. It's women's turn. No, it's based on merit.
Right.
So I'll say this though: I do think we're in the middle of a culture war. I think we still have free speech. Where the First and Second Amendment are still fairly intact.
Right.
And I do believe they could turn the ship around, but it's going to be culture first, then politics.
Do you guys think
So-
that we're close to a civil war?
We've asked that question before, man.
I don't.
Not even
I don't know.
close?
Listen, it's funny. A civil war sounds extreme, but I don't know if I can
There's
say
a lot
yes
of
or
extreme
no.
behavior out there.
Right. Like
There's
it
a lot of
just
very
something's
polarizing
got to
extreme
give,
behavior.
man.
It won't be a civil war because they don't have an army.
They don't have the guns.
They've got a bunch of
Yeah.
spoiled brats that are
Well,
throwing organized temper
hissy fits,
tantrums.
It would be a
Organized
one-sided
systems,
affair, as Black Label Logic put it. I think we talked about this in our private chat. He said it would be a one-sided affair. I think one side would have, soy ice cream or whatever. The other side would have all the guns and the muscles.
Yeah.
It would be over very quickly. Listen, sticking with politics, let's just liken this to the dating world. If a guy dates an outgoing woman, right? Life of the party, she's outgoing, she cheats on him. So what does he do? He overcorrects. Okay, he goes for the quiet, docile girl. Same thing. If he dates a quiet, docile girl, she cheats on him, and for whatever reason it just doesn't go right, he goes for the outgoing girl. So we've got Donald Trump in the White House, and the mainstream media is doing their best to demonize him. There's a movie coming out called 11/9. I think it's just all propaganda.
It flopped. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Well, I'm sure it did. A lot of people think that we are going to overcorrect. We're going to put someone in the White House who is the complete opposite of Donald Trump. I made this prediction on election night. Nobody knows, but we're going to have the largest voter turnout in United States history come 2020. You can take that to the bank. So are we going to keep Trump in the White House, or are we going to overcorrect and put someone in there who is completely the opposite?
I think the behavior of the radical left, and I won't say Democrats, because I think there's a lot of Democrats that are middle to center that are really unhappy with what's going on right now. If you talk to most people about politics, you take a random 100 people and ask them, maybe 3 or 4 will have an opinion. Most of them have no clue. They repeat what the news has told them.
Right.
Most of those people in the middle, a lot of times probably don't even vote. But I think right now, with so much more attention being paid to the issues, and especially with the kind of the reactive, almost panicked behavior of the left, I think they're pushing a lot of people that otherwise wouldn't care or were in the middle or on the fence over to the right. And provided that they're able to minimize the voter fraud, I think we're going to see maybe not a landslide, but I think that there's a lot more people that are going to be going right, because the people on the left that are making the biggest noise are probably actually a very small percentage. I don't believe, or I would like to not believe, that most people, even a lot of Democrats, are nearly as radicalized or as hateful as what we're seeing from, it's probably a very small but very vocal minority, and they're hurting their own party.
Yeah, but I mean, there's like a lot of reach with that, right? I mean, like you were talking about it in your talk with that reporter that what the hell did she say? She wanted to castrate boys or like eliminate something like 90% of the male population.
The founder of gender studies in the United States is a woman, Sarah something, and she gave a talk in 1973 advocating for men to be reduced to 10% of the population.
Like, what the fuck is that? I mean, could you
Genocide.
imagine
It's
if
called genocide.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's freaking genocide. Like, could you imagine a man publicly declaring that?
Oh my
Yep.
God, he'd be
That-
hung in the
it's
village
bonkers.
square.
He'd be
What do you
crucified.
call
He'd be crucified.
somebody with a degree in gender studies?
I don't know.
An idiot.
Barista.
Oh,
So I want to
Go
add
make
this
me a
under.
coffee.
I want to add this under too. In terms of defeating feminism in the political environment or otherwise, I think, and I try to articulate this in my talk. I don't know how well I hit on this specific point. I believe that the manosphere, well, kind of like so we talked about just now, the left and say the feminists, they're very vocal. They're a minority, a small minority,
right.
but they're very vocal and they're very intolerant. They make their voice fucking heard exponentially bigger than their numbers have, right? I think we need to do the same thing with the manosphere. And in my talk this year, that's what I was trying to advocate in Kickstart and Ignite. We're not going to red pill legitimately 80% of the population. It's not going to fucking happen.
Right.
But if we get 5%, 10%, 15%, even 20%, that would be huge. That would be like this room, 15% of the population of men. That would be fucking wild. And those men with those voices would be heard and those actions would be heard, and their political force, even money, donating money to a candidate, getting out voting, writing books, sharing their ideas with their newsletters and their websites and their social media accounts, stuff like that. That is how I think we have to win. We have to switch from defense, which the MRAs do, and it sucks and doesn't work. It endlessly
No,
just
it's not,
fails.
yeah.
And switch to offense like Trump has done in politics. Get aggressive, get assertive, be intolerant, say no, say go fuck yourself, stuff like that.
Hit back 10 times harder.
Exactly.
Like you said.
Exactly. That's what feminists do, and it worked. We need to take a cue from them. Appreciate, hey, thanks for showing us the way, and fire back.
Yeah, and use it to fuck them up.
We're not a
Yeah,
one-dimensional
Peacefully.
community. I've been saying this for the longest time. I
Yeah,
mean,
look at all of us. I mean,
Red Pill is not this monolithic group of men like Little Rascals used to have a treehouse, and the sign said the
We're
He-Man
gonna
Woman
build it.
Haters Club.
Yes.
That's not like that. That's not what this is all about. As a matter of fact, there was a gal sitting at the bar on the night that everybody was coming in here into the hotel, and I did not know what else was coming into town this week. So as all the attendees and speakers were arriving, we're all like hugging each other. We're happy to see each other. She says to me, "Are you guys here for the Pride Fest?" And
My bad.
I said, no, it's a conference on reclaiming manhood, masculinity, and rebuilding men and building men. And she goes, "Well, that's interesting." She didn't know what to think about that. And of course, this was a good time of the night as people were rolling their suitcases in, because everybody that was walking in looked like a freaking Navy SEAL. So, I mean, there is a kind of a red pill look.
there is a difference.
Once you're in it, there is a look.
Yeah, we had a lot of active duty military here and retired.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
makes
a
sense.
lot of nice Under Armour shirts and muscles coming in the door, right? So she says, literally, "Should I feel uncomfortable?" I said, "Honey, you're probably safer here than you are anywhere in Orlando tonight. And there are more gentlemen per square foot here than any place in Orlando." And
What
I
did
just-
Anthony say? He says, I love women, but I hate feminism.
I love women
Spot
and I
on.
hate feminism.
And I
with
hate
passion.
feminism.
With
That
a
was it.
passion.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love
I got
women too.
that from
Yeah.
Intendi, actually.
And I hate feminism. I get it.
Yeah. I think you should. If you love women, you should hate feminism.
I mean, like, feminism is anti-femininity. It's
Oh my God.
it doesn't
yeah.
promote
Yeah.
the
It
feminine
hurts women.
character. It definitely hurts women. I mean, like,
Rolo
anybody
does
that
a-
believes that it doesn't is just bonkers.
Rolo does a good job articulating that feminists want like this genderless, androgynous future where like there is no gender. They're trying to erase femininity and masculinity. The masculinity, calling it toxic and shit, so stereotyping it or demonizing it is more obvious. But they do it with women too, and it's more covert. And a lot of women get sucked into that, and they get fucked up too. And then they just
Everybody
get screwed
loses. Drew, you
Yeah.
wanted to say something a little
Yeah,
earlier?
well, real quick on that, they are destroying rational femininity as much as they are masculinity.
Mhm.
But to add, earlier Anthony said that purple pill is probably a little better than blue, but dangerous.
Mhm.
And with some of the other discussion, I was thinking what's really dangerous is the purple pill that presents itself as red
Yeah.
because
There it is.
men need red pill, some desperately. But if their first introduction to it is from somebody that's purple pill passing themselves off as red, the consequences could be tragic. And
Well-
we've seen that with the stories. I think right now, one of the biggest concerns is, and this is necessary to promote red pill, is to combat any purple pill that's trying to co-opt it, because they are doing
Yes.
men a huge disservice from misdirecting them away from the legitimate red pill.
It's the difference between gold and fool's gold.
Purple pill
Cyanide.
people think that they're peacemakers. They embody. Can't we just all get along?
fuck
They want to
that.
be in the middle. They want to be a
No.
bridge between. And the reality is, you do have to take sides.
That's right.
You have to.
I think the world, you hear this, you hear people say not everything is black and white. Well, some of the most important things are black and white. You can't live life in a gray area. It just doesn't work that way. One would say that the government, because we appear to have a red pilled president, that the government is now purple pilled. I don't know, so to speak. I guess if you mix the red with the blue, it's purple pilled. Going back to the question, is there? See, I'm a cynical guy, and the way I see it, I think tides are changing, right? My girlfriend has told me about this. Jonathan from Modern Life Dating has also told me this. He says the tides, times are a changing. And a guy like me, the way I feel, I think, you know what? Feminism won't be vanquished until I am dead and buried. It'll be 3 generations from now until we start to see this sort of dissipate. What do you guys think? Are the tides changing? I mean, is there a timetable? Is there not a timetable? I mean, where do we stand
I
right
don't
now
see it getting
with?
any better. No.
Okay.
I don't see any improvement. Like I've seen no improvement. I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna speaking from being from New York.
Yeah.
It's gotten crazy. Like you guys mentioned, is there going to be a civil war soon? There's a psychological war going
Man,
on.
I'm
between
telling you.
people. I mean, I've been literally banned from.
And it always
places
starts
in
with
New York City.
ideas too, right? Like it always
Yeah.
starts with ideas before there's actions.
Yeah,
Talking
You've been
precedes
banned from
action.
where?
from certain places, certain social circles,
Yeah.
certain parties in New York, just
Right.
because I'm not even that political. I don't care. I just want the truth. Like, if you don't talk bad about Trump, you're the bad guy.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, it's absolutely insane. And
It's,
so
uh,
it's getting really, really bad.
I want to add this. I think so. I see what Rich is saying, but I also see what Goldman's saying. And my take is that the intensity that you're seeing right now, like what Goldman's talking about, that to me is the change. That is an animal, this like crazy ass radical feminist, like Marxist, crazy communist shit. That animal being backed into a corner, and they're freaking out.
Mhm.
So what Goldman does, he want to be political, but the fact that he even want that now that he wants to write a book on Camera Game, 10 years ago that was just a book. Now it's a political statement. He wants the truth. Well, that's a political statement.
Yeah.
Old school shit where you could just stay neutral. Now it's not possible anymore. So in my opinion, who knows exactly what's going to happen. No one has complete certainty over this. But I think things are changing for the better, and the intensity and the tension you see in America right now and around the West, that's a good thing. Hopefully we can walk out of that peacefully, no major violence, but that already has not been the case. I know there was a shooting with, I think earlier this year, Steve Scalise got shot, Rand Paul almost got shot, a number of senators. and
Oh, the
stuff.
softball game. Right?
Yeah. There's
right.
there's a lot of little things like that going on in the country. The senator and other congressmen and stuff being threatened and intimidated, protested, hardcore. It sucks seeing that, and it's like, holy shit, people are waking up. I think, and you'll see that in voter turnout.
Yeah.
But yeah, that tension, that intensity, I think is a good thing, and that's a sign that things are about to fucking change. We're in the process of changing, and there's a battle going on psychologically, culturally.
Sam. Yeah, I was gonna say I can
Yeah.
see what it is.
The problem is that Christians are doing nothing. I was reared in a very strict Southern Baptist church, was a virgin until I got married and all that. And all these years in Hollywood, I started out living out of my car, showering at the gym. But once I made it, Christians that I grew up with and Christians from all over the country kept sending me messages telling me, you're going to hell. And the truth is, I'm the only Christian that has actually kind of made it in Hollywood.
Right.
And what I do is I send them messages back, or I'll call people back and say, look, you are responsible because you're not here. Look at the movie credits, the credits at the end of a TV show. Every job that you can think of, that is listed in the credits. I'm like, why don't you get your butt out here like I did and struggled for a long time to make it?
Do the work.
Because if you want to do it, you have to do the work. And I think The majority of Americans would say they believe in God. And the problem is that people in the US that believe in God are doing nothing. And the men are afraid to vote these days.
Right.
They're afraid somebody's going to find out. I never talk about politics because of my
Oh
work
Jesus!
in Hollywood.
Yeah, you work in Hollywood. Yeah,
I throw
you
this
got
shit on my
black women,
Instagram, so I got women hit me up about this already. Like, you're so hot and all this bullshit instantly.
Anthony's totally unemployable.
Yeah.
He's
But I'm
completely
risking
unemployable.
everything using my real name
Sure.
for the first time
Yeah.
in my
Right.
life, narrating these books. But the fact is, we have to. Every Christian man has to become a man. And you're not a man, even though you think you are. And you know because your wife doesn't want you anymore. But you are not a man unless you have read the books by Rollo Tomasi, Ivan Throne, and these gentlemen I'm sitting with. It's a fact.
Let me ask the next question. I'll throw it back to you, Sam. What role do you feel that Christianity or religion plays in the red pill? Is Christianity purple pill? Is it blue pill? I mean, is it some shade of mauve or magenta? What are your thoughts?
Definitely blue and lower.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Christian men are weak and they're afraid. And, I tell people I fought the gates of hell for 20 years in Hollywood. They will hire all Christians if all of them will work the way that we work.
Yeah.
You understand? Busting your butt, going years without hardly any sleep. It's just most Christians are lazy and they do a job that they don't have any passion about. And that is, as a Christian, you need to know this. If you're doing a job that you haven't dreamt of doing your whole life, you are against God. It's the truth. So it's time to do what your passion is. That's why you have to learn from these men that are the best articulators of what masculinity is. Jesus wasn't a wimp. And I also tell
Oh,
people,
Jesus was a G. Don't get it twisted.
yeah, and the fact is, I mean, I don't know about you, but the first place we see Jesus in the Bible, he was at a massive party with all these world leaders, rich people, People talk bad about the rich, but I want to be extremely wealthy again. Why? Because I can help more people,
Yeah.
I didn't have as much as I should have had in savings when the hit and run driver killed me because I give money away to make things happen, hire people all over the world to improve things right here in the U.S.
I'm not really a particularly religious guy. I was raised in the church. I mean, I've told you guys before, I'm in sort of a transitional period. But I've heard that the Bible is one of the most red pill aware books out there, yet the church seems to be blue/purple pill. How does that change? Like, how do we change? I mean, or should we change the church? Should we let it go down in flames? Should we just enjoy the decline, or should we get the church involved?
I think more guys need to be bringing books to church, man. Just they fall out of your pocket on the way out. Like I was saying,
The
just
rational male.
accidents happen. They fall right where the Bible thing, with the prayer thing, whatever.
Church
Yeah.
makes money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the churches, they all want to be big. They make money. The pastor becomes a celebrity. And that's where we
yes.
are.
And they
And-
pander to the women to do that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, women are the consumers.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, you are listening to episode 36 of the Rad Man Group. We are live from Orlando, Florida, here in the waning moments here at the 21 convention. We, of course, are brought to you by 21 Studios. We've got another 10 or 15 minutes before we can have guys start to line up and take questions. I've actually got a really good question here in the chat by Reyes Reborn. He says, quote, how will the state of the geopolitical landscape affect the sexual marketplace 2 years from now? So this kind of marries politics in with the sexual marketplace. And my guess is that it probably has a lot to do with the hashtag Me Too movement. Yes means yes, no means no, nobody knows. I'll open it up to the panel. What are your thoughts?
I think we're going to see a lot of people that are a little bit more selective about who they date based on their political leanings. Men, in particular, being very cautious to avoid any kind of relationship with far left radical women because of the threat of false accusations of sexual misconduct. You got to be careful now.
I think you're going to see things like that get dicier and dicier. Dating today is like total anarchy. There's no rules left. I think Me Too is, I think, the most modern, in the moment iteration of feminism. The worst elements of it brought bubbling into a fucking witch hunt right here in America. I don't even say that figuratively. Like it might as well be a witch hunt. Or it's an accurate term to call it. But I think that's going to get even worse. I think Me Too now, as we've seen Rollo post some links and major news sites doing it, Me Too is now going to transition into, they've been focusing on taking down men in power, CEOs,
Right.
politicians and shit. Judge Kavanaugh, Justice Kavanaugh. That's, I think, going to transition into the home and family and marriage. So you're going to see Me Too witch hunt transition now to go after husbands and fathers
Oh my God.
with enthusiastic consent. And then soon you'll see, I think very soon you're going to see duty sex, basically called rape. It wasn't, well, I didn't want to bang him, but I did. So it was rape. It's just fucking insanity is what it is.
Man.
So it's going to get worse, more intense.
I actually saw a tweet from someone I can't remember. It basically said, if I had to advise my son before he goes out on a date, have like a small camera and a recording device to protect yourself at all time. And Goldman, I think you can probably speak to this. You're probably the closest version of a quote pickup artist as there is. How does #MeToo affect pickup game? I mean, are you scared? Are you worried? I mean, what happens? Have you ever been falsely accused of anything like that?
No, because I'm super careful about it.
Good.
It has affected it big time over the past year, especially. There's a tension out there, like in the nightlife. So when I'm out in New York, I just make it a point to actually bring it up in conversation. Like, oh, look at everybody's acting weird. Like the guys are kind of afraid to go. They're acting more and more timid. So I do it in a kind of meta way, just to, first of all, call out the elephant in the room. The girls like to talk about it.
Of course.
Unless they're batshit crazy, then I don't want to talk to them anyway. But the cool girls, they want to talk about it. They see the tension. They realize the guys are holding back because of this gender war that's happening. And it's a conversation I like to have to keep myself safe, A, and B, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about that. I was almost falsely accused of domestic. Oh, okay. Looks like we got a.
Rich had to take a leak. He was subbing in for AJ Cortez. I
AJ,
realized.
you righty or lefty? He's right-handed. All right, we're going to the bullpen. We've got AJ Cortez, personal trainer extraordinaire. But again, Goldman, I don't know if you were. I apologize if you want to finish your thought.
That was it. I mean, if you are aware of it and you have the conversation,
Okay.
like that's my advice. Like it's kind of necessary in this day and age.
Okay, AJ, let's go ahead and hit you. Let's go and hit you with a hard question here, man. How will the geopolitical landscape affect the sexual marketplace in 2 years? He's like, here we go.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, brother.
I always take a minute perspective as much as I can, as broad a perspective as possible. Similar to what Golden was saying, the sexual marketplace has changed. Where I've seen it myself dating, there's been a different rise in tension. It's between the opposite sex, men and women interacting with each other, people being single. You have to preface your interactions now. You have to lead it with the opening that there's a lot of tension. What do you think about this? I told a lot of gentlemen that this weekend. You have to protect yourself, otherwise you're going to put yourself at risk. That's just the reality situation that we live in.
AJ, what do you think about the phenomena? I think you've read about it probably of Hillary voters banging Trump supporters. That was kind of a thing we had in 2017. It seems to be fizzling out. I could be wrong.
People always project, but the thing that you hate the most also tends to be the thing that you desire the most to have and to be won over by. So that's very much almost the classical scenario of like the good Christian girl that's secretly a freak, or the quiet girl that's a slut. Or even the guy where he gets raised in like a good household with these very eternal values, but he has these sexual proclivities that he never really expresses. And the thing that you hate the most also has power over you. You have to. There's always an acknowledgement there, and sex has a power element to it.
Oh yeah.
So I don't think that's gone away at all.
Do you think we'll still see Trump voters getting, Hillary voters banging Trump voters in 2020, 2021 when he wins again? Or
I have no doubt.
Of course they will. Yeah.
That'll be a reinforcement of alphaness in a way.
triggering
That which is most dominant has the power sexually.
Yeah, there you go.
That never changes.
Yeah, going back to the Civil War question, I have a question here in the chat. I don't know if anybody else had anything to add to that.
I have one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the best investment in the next 2 years are cameras smaller than this. That's what it's causing.
Totally agree, man. Totally. And listen, man, I think it's a damn shame that we're actually sitting here having a serious discussion about putting body cameras on civilians to protect ourselves from false sexual misconduct. And you notice they don't call it rape anymore, right? You notice they don't really call it sexual assault anymore. They're calling it sexual misconduct. Because the very definition of sexual misconduct, it has a very wide, very subjective definition. We had a woman accuse, Justice Brett Kavanaugh, of shaking his dick in front of her. And the world lost its mind. She damn near cost this man his entire career because of an accusation back in 1982, 1983? And everybody took the bait, hook, line, and sinker. So it's events like these witch hunts. This is what it is, man. And this is why a lot of people become purple pill. This is why they become low level MGTOWs. They just say, you know what, that's it, man. Like, I'm done. And I can't say I blame them, man. To sit here and think that I have to put a body camera on. I used to record all of my sexual encounters when I was in Vegas. You never know what was going to happen after. And I'm not going to get into it, but I was halfway accused of domestic violence. The only reason why I didn't get arrested is because I had the wherewithal to record the ensuing conversation on my phone. And she was detained for making a false domestic violence. She probably didn't spend 1 minute in jail, but from then on, I had to record everything.
But you would have spent 10 years.
Oh, dude, easy. Like that was, yeah. I was very, very fortunate in that regard. I've got a question here. This is actually an interesting question by Rhythm and Smoke. All right. He says, quote, I feel women are in a civil war with each other for the identity of women. Does the panel agree? Wow, that's a good question. Feminazis versus feminines.
That's a very sharp observation. These things, I mean, we're here this weekend, this past week as men. Women are having their own internal battles, or their own internal community battles for their own soul. I've encountered that very much so, as coming from a different background where I have a lot of female relationships where you have this element. Yes, Anthony.
A lot of female relationships.
You have this element of this radical far left feminist, femnazi, social justice warrior, where she went to college, she got indoctrinated with Marxist ideology, she dyed her hair blue, she hates her dad now, she hates all men. But it's also a mental level of mental illness because when you create all these categories and nothing has boundaries, and there's 90,000 genders, your mental stability is dust. Right. Your mental stability is completely disintegrated.
Dysfunctional.
And then, you have that. And at the same time, you have women, whether they're Christian or they're just raised in a traditional household, where they're women and they like being feminine, they like being soft, and they had a good relationship with men. And they see these women, and no one hates women more than other women.
Oh, yes.
No one hates women more than other women.
Pull the knives out.
And women can call other women's bullshit out.
They can.
Just like that.
And they're not afraid to do it.
So what I see happening in the longer term, which I think is overall beneficial, is that these women who are more, to say, sensible, logical, reasonable, rational, not clinically insane / leftist.
But almost.
But they're the ones where they're going to be the power, so to speak, because they're a step ahead in the mental stability game. When you have people where they can fall apart mentally because you say Trump and they have a panic attack.
Oh, God.
As much as they can shriek and be in fury, I'm not really afraid of that person because you're having a breakdown by words.
Right.
You're not going to do anything constructive. That's why the prospect of civil war, I see the world being a hot piece. We're not going to have outbreaks of true violence, but people are getting along, with a great deal of friction. But the opposing side, where it's a bunch of new males with 45% body fat, with testosterone levels of
200 nanograms.
Yeah, a 10-year-old boy, and then their allies are women who are also 200 plus pounds and corpulent with pre-diabetic.
First round knockout.
And the optics on that are terrible. And that's the reality of it. And they're the ones that are the most vocal. What are you really going to do? Right. What are you really going to do?
I'll add, on that note, let me add this. I'll say, so people keep saying civil war, and it's like, what the hell would it look like today if that actually broke out in violence? I don't think you're never going to see an organized, military opposing the federal government in this country,
no.
At least with the way currently things are.
Right.
But I do think the worst you could see would be like a feminist version of the Rodney King riots, where what you see now, this insanity, these women throwing, the pink pussy hats, the violence, the screaming, all that crazy shit, that erupting in a city or a county somewhere in the country, a major city, feminists is fucking losing their shit and really running off the rails and dragging in Antifa and the soy boys and all that shit.
I could see that happening in Los Angeles or San Francisco. I live in California.
That's pretty serious.
California has those elements to it.
Yeah,
Portland's
there
another
you go.
one.
Philly.
But again,
definitely.
the irony of that is that galvanizes the opposition so
Yes.
strongly. And that's what I've seen, where it seems like the internal battles of feminism now is that you have the sensible women feminists where they're just absolutely disgusted with their own gender.
Yeah.
And now they're fighting out and they're basically just cannibalizing each other.
Yeah.
Yes, like eat or be eaten.
Like
George, what are your thoughts on this? You've got women who, and again, it's it would appear to be a small faction of women who are interested in holding on to true traditional femininity, but it would appear that the majority of women want to redefine femininity. It's it's a civil war with women. Do you see that? And I'd like Goldman's input on this too, because again, you guys are on the front lines out here. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, are you seeing different girls? What conversations are you having?
I find when you have your masculinity in tune,
Mm-hmm.
when you're a well-rounded man, I'm not a big law of attraction guy as far as the new agey kind of stuff. But when
Says a
you're
good-looking guy with the beard.
when you're a masculine guy, you're going to attract feminine women. I don't attract like non-feminine women. You like how I said that?
There you go.
I don't attract non-feminine women. I attract women who are, there's like little codes that people see. You go to, when I was swiping on the dating sites, you'd see like a little American flag emoji. And I'm just
Right.
like, yeah. You see like hashtag 2A. I'm like, yeah. A lot of guys would be scared of that. I do a morning show on YouTube, and my coffee cup is a little snake. Don't tread on me. And the women who are my followers are like,
There you go.
hell yeah. So I find as I manifest what being a man is, there are women that are so fed up with soy boys, so fed up with wishy-washy guys that don't have an anchor, that really it's kind of a free-for-all for me. There's like zero issues.
Okay.
It's like I was talking earlier about options. I have more options now that the genders are polarized, and if I go to political rallies my girls are just hotter than heck. They're smart. They're in shape. They're articulate. I want to be with them. I have great conversations with them. And it's, as opposed to the short hair, purple streak, pussy hat,
Yeah. Right.
1,000 piercings kind of thing. My girls are beautiful, and I love them. And I texted a picture of the hat to somebody, and the response was, hell yeah.
My sister put one of those on yesterday with me of her picture, an instant. So yeah, women like that a lot.
Went viral. Huh?
I think
Real
it's
women
really viral.
like it a lot.
And
Yeah.
the word triggering is always associated with negative things.
Right.
I want to trigger positive stuff. I want to trigger hell yeahs out of people.
Yeah.
So I'm not afraid to. I'm not a virtue signaling kind of guy. I just am what I am. I don't wear shit like on my sleeve on purpose. I just am. I'm a well-rounded guy and becoming more well-rounded as the years go on. And now I'm almost 60. I'm not a young guy anymore. And it's just nonstop for me. I have my choice. I feel more confident now with women than I ever have in my entire life.
Wow. There you go, man. There you go. That's a good answer. Goldman, is there a civil war going on between women? Listen, I mean, conservative girls are obviously hotter than liberals. I think that's fair to say. What say you?
I like to keep the politics completely out of it, but this civil war, I think there's a separation between the weak-minded and the strong-minded, and I want a strong-minded woman who wants the truth.
Okay.
And they always tend to make fun of these leftists, these feminists, these crazy people.
Right.
And the ones who agree are like these weak-willed, weak-minded people. Kind of goes back to what we were talking about, the purple pill and the red pill.
Yeah.
To take the red pill and the truth takes an incredibly strong mind. You have to be a warrior. Like, it really takes mental strength to do it, to accept it into your life. The purple pill is like for the weak-minded, which is
There you
easy. Okay, it's an easy way out. So most people are going to go purple pill. If they're writing about sex and dating, they're going to go purple pill because it's easy. If girls read their stuff, they're not going to be like
Threatened.
exactly.
Yeah.
So the red pill takes a lot of strength. And with this thing going on with this mental civil war between people, it's just separating the weak and the strong-minded.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and start getting guys lined up in the queue. If you want to ask questions, go ahead and line up there behind the microphone. We'll go ahead and start taking your questions now. We'll also take questions in the chat. If you have placed a question in the chat, just understand we may or may not get to it. The guys that are actually here, they're going to take precedence. So we've got someone here now. Go ahead.
Yo, hey guys, speaking about politics and stuff, like whatever you guys do in the US is then eventually gonna splash up in Europe, landing in the UK, Germany, and then slowly crawling towards the east and stuff. like I think there's like a 5 to 10 year window. Like we're lagging behind you guys a little bit. So
Is it
I
really
guess
that?
we're gonna get the whole brunt of feminism coming towards Europe. What's your kind of like idea for a battle plan, or like how could we like handle this situation? Because we got a time advantage. It's not much, but I guess we can do something with it.
Sure.
I've seen what he's talking about, by the way, in Germany. But if you want to go ahead.
So you got me thinking about this. So U.S. culture always disseminates itself worldwide because cultures are mimetic and whatever is strong is always leads. With the United States, with the current trends of, let's just say, radical feminism and sort of this leftist hysteria, I don't know if I would really see that spreading worldwide. The reason why is that it doesn't actually produce anything. It doesn't produce anything. It's very ineffective. It's actually sort of, I would argue, on this on a very basic level, it's a money loss since you're creating a generation of people who are weak-minded, non-productive, and highly reactionary. So you might have a weirdly sort of global filtering effect where those elements, because the world is watching America, the international sentiment that I pick up from my friends that live overseas is that the U.S. has gone crazy with this shit, and we don't want that in our country.
Yeah.
So rather than it be like leading where it's like, okay, we want to be like America in the 1980s and being this military superpower. We want American culture in the 1990s and this commercial material abundance, or even 2010s. In the 2010s now, it's you guys have gone absolutely insane. We don't want that in our country at all. And you see that in China, where I don't speak Chinese, so I forget the terminology. You see that in China and Japan, where there's a word now that makes fun of leftist ideology, where it's like their version of social justice warrior, where that's one of those fucking Americans that only cares about race and identity, and they're probably ugly too. Dead on serious. And I've seen that in other countries as well, even in Eastern Europe, where they see this and it's not feminism where this is empowering. It's women there that come from these more traditional cultures where they're well put together and they're feminine and they're graceful and they haven't been corrupted that way. And they see American feminism. It's like, what is this? These women are hideous and they're hysterical and they're shrieking and they sound like this and they have vocal fry. What are we exactly going to take from that and incorporate to our own culture? It's completely unappealing. So that might kind of die on the vine where we're at here, I think, in 20 years.
I want to comment as well that the battle plan, as far as I'm concerned, is bringing the 21 Convention back to Europe for our 4th event. It will not be in Scandinavia this time or Western Europe. It'll be in Poland. So
Well,
the
there we go.
Americans are coming, the Canadians are coming. We're late per usual, but coming for the feminazis.
All right, we've got someone else. Looks like his name tag says Tolo Ramasi.
Royo.
I'm asking this for a friend because my voice is completely shot now. Just to sort of preface this, where you guys are talking about a civil war. In my speech, I talked about how it's a possibility that we could be coming into a civil war, and not just in a gender sense. I mean, I've been posting a lot of examples of what a gender war looks like on my Twitter feed recently, and I see it more as a gender cold war right now, where it's like it's like sniping at the masculine. It's I think it was I was talking with George Bruno earlier, and just in recharacterizing masculine characters to be more feminine. Like you take someone like 007, like the James Bond, and they're just they want to change that masculine archetype into a female. I mean, in some cases, literally change the character into a female. That's one aspect, I think, of a gender cold war. And so, as such, it seems to me, just like you were saying a minute ago, that like one side of femininity, or one faction of women are going to be a little more leaning towards our red pill way of thinking, or maybe a little bit more conservative way of thinking, and then of course there's going to be the more liberal women who are going to fight that side, but it's going to end up being there's going to be a dividing line between women at some point before we actually get into like a real live civil war. So we get into something like that, but I definitely see a gender civil war right now. However, modern life dating, John Texas and says, the left is running out of weapons. At what point do they start losing women to our side? And that's what I was just referring to. When there's that division line, where do you think that division line is going to start?
I think they already have.
Yeah.
Not to keep monopolizing this, but I have a fairly sorry, whatever. I don't feel bad about it. I have a fairly large following at this point, and I'm always surprised that about 25% of my following is actually women. And they never present themselves explicitly, like within the feed, like on Twitter. But I get emails constantly from women, and they're either it's either admiration or just like thanking me, like thank you for saying this, like men need this. I wish more men were like you. My Twitter account, I never expected it to ever be like a dating thing, but I've gotten lots of women that they follow my feed. Are you single? Like where can I meet men like you? Do you know guys? Like this is where I live. Like how can I find someone that's more masculine? I think that tide has already turned, honestly.
They give you name, address, and everything, huh?
I'm sure that's
I love it.
He gets more than text.
A few choice pictures. Yeah, I agree with you. I think this side is already starting to get the women. Listen, man, women are attracted to strength. They are attracted to conviction, and it doesn't really matter what side you're on, so long as you appear to be the strongest and most proficient, the highest status, the most steadfast in your conviction. Whether you are a Bible thumping, Southern Fried Baptist preacher in Nashville, Tennessee, or you are an atheist up in Seattle, Washington, if you are strong, women are going to follow, and that's the bottom line.
I want to add this too. I think women could use a little push right now to get that process started, and go make women great again.
That's right.
So,
absolutely.
That's the beginning. I think women are embracing this. And like, you took a picture of it, George? Yeah, exactly. And she was responsive positively, right? Yeah.
I think women want
Donovan.
to. I think women want to. I think that they're afraid to. I think women are afraid to come out of the closet as a feminine woman. I don't think it's social media fashionable. Hey, yeah, I'm a feminine woman. I embrace femininity and traditional masculinity. So
there's a social stigma to it. One of the accounts I follow, Sarah Jean Gosney, she's like housewife, promotes femininity, and everyone that always sort of comes at her and attacks her at various times, it's always other women. You just want to be pretty for men.
Yeah,
you just want to do this. Why do you even care about this? This is all social conditioning. It's the same stupid arguments over and over. It's not men. It's women.
It's all women. Women are the
it's
biggest
ugly
haters
women
of
hating on pretty women. That's feminism. That's feminism wrapped up in a fucking bow for you, and there it is. That's how it started. That's what it's going to be.
Let's go to our next. Let's go to our next question. Go ahead.
Hey, gentlemen. When you discover the red pill, you go through the anger. We talked about that a lot this weekend. We talk a lot about the red flags in women and what to avoid, what to watch out for. I want to flip the switch a little bit. And George, you touched on it and kind of the signs you look for that a woman is actually feminine and is what you're looking for. And Goldman, you talked about the 2-year relationship, that you had after the red pill. That was a wonderful relationship. Kind of curious as to the panel, what you guys in your own life look for. Like, what are those signs? Because I think there's a lot of men that are like, all right, I want a feminine woman. Like, what does she look like? What do they look like? How do they appear? Or what are their signs? And they could be missing a lot of those signs. So I just want to hear what your thoughts were on that.
I have a cool take on this because I've given this a lot of thought this year. Now that I'm 30, I'm starting to give it more thought. So this is like something loosely, like a theory I have. So it's not ironed out yet, but it's worth a shot. Look at women who are beginning to ape fashion trends from like the 80s. But not like in some douchey, like superficial way. Like their bangs are done in a way that you don't usually see. Their hair's longer. It's well taken care of. It's not overdone. They're less flashy. The colors they wear for makeup are less intense. These are signs for women like lacking red flags, and these are like light green flags in the first place. But particularly if you see them harking back to like fashion trends from back then, and then look at the way they behave. Listen to how they talk. Watch the way they walk. Like small shit like that is what you need to look for. That's my best take on it right now, and then more obvious stuff too. But the details, I think, is where the treasure's at. If there's anything that we find, look there.
Green flags. Anybody else?
Yeah, my number one green flag is, if I'm seeing a girl, is does she bring positive energy? Does she bring joy to not only me, but to other people around her? If she's always negative all the time, especially when you first meet her, I mean, that's a huge red flag. But the green flag goes up if like I just feel this positive radiance from her. That's to me is the ultimate femininity.
We have an old speaker here, Steve Maeda, used to say that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And that when your comment about positive energy reminds me of that. Because you're right, if she comes off the bat with negative stuff, that's everything you're going to get.
Yeah,
99% of it.
The way she orders from her waiter, everything.
But if you see positive little details, that's a good sign. That's how she does everything.
It's always the little things. There are many, many green flags. And we always talk about red flags, right? We all know what they are: gauge out ears, tattoos, body piercings, etc. One green flag that that I would put guys on notice about is her selflessness. Does she put, and it's almost like an automatic switch, does she put the needs of others before herself? How can you see that on a date, Donovan? Well, this is easy. If, when you sit down, you order whatever the case may be. And of course, I don't recommend you take a woman out on a first date for dinner, but that's a whole nother issue. But when you're out on a date with a woman that you happen to be seeing and you're looking for something, right? Like they bring your food or bring your meal and you're looking for something, and she can pick up on the fact that you're looking for your spoon. She automatically reaches over and she gives it to you. Or if she sees you're about to cut up your steak, you put down your utensils and you're kind of looking around, she passes you the salt. Those are the women who are feminine, women who want to follow men. That's a marker. The selflessness. Women who have all of those red flags are never going to do that. They're
If I
out
can,
for themselves.
I want to challenge you in this a little bit.
Okay.
So, in a philosophic sense, slightly. So, you're saying selfless, but in my opinion, what you're talking about is self-interest for women. A self-interest for women, putting themselves first, means putting a man first. If it's counterintuitive and it's kind of screwy to look, or a paradox.
Mhm.
But I think if a woman, like if your girlfriend puts you first, that makes her happy.
Right.
For her to be happiest, she has to put a man first, which takes courage.
Yep.
Because submission is an action, it's a choice. And I think that's how they do it. And it's very counterintuitive because it's not as obvious. Men, we put ourselves first by what? Putting ourselves first.
Right.
The mental point of origin. Women put themselves first by finding a man that's worthy of putting first. And doing that as fast as possible and getting out of dating and not fucking themselves up, getting all the trauma and shit.
I will
So-
tell you this: you will quickly find out, and I think we all have enough experience here to know and understand that women are very, very good at acting as though they are traditional, acting as though they are feminine. But let me give you one immutable truth: they can't keep up the act forever. And I think a lot of guys are out here looking for the cheat code. Hey, how do I vet a woman in 24 hours? Boop, not going to happen. A woman who is truly feminine, a woman who truly wants to follow a strong leader, she can't keep up that act forever, guys. It's going to take time, it's going to take patience, and it's going to take work. So you're going to have to look for these green flags. When you see these green flags, you have to make sure that they're there at all times. Just like you said, if you do a thing one way, you do that forever. So I think that's definitely something to keep in mind.
I like to say, date long, marry slow,
Mhm.
divorce fast, because most of our problems happen when we don't date someone long enough, when we marry someone too quickly, and when we drag these divorces on forever and just choose suffering. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And a lot of guys just stay in that pain mode forever, and they have to learn to come out of it.
They do that by buying a ticket to the 21 convention.
That's right.
They sure do.
Absolutely.
And here's how you do it. Get the Rational Male 1 audiobook and cue
The
it
audio
up.
version.
Yeah, no. Cue it up to the part that is the iron rules of Tomasi.
Oh yeah, those are brilliant. Yeah.
Push play, and if she's agreeing, she's good. If she
Wow.
gets angry, she's out.
That would screen him quick here. But before we go anywhere, I've got something for you to listen to. Just press play, right? If you come back to the room and she's still there, then you've got a chance. If she's red, right? She looks like she's chomping at the bit to say something. All right, yeah. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here.
I just use speeches for this too. Just find like a really triggering speech from Rollo or Donovan or somebody and say, hey, watch this video. Nice
Exactly.
YouTube video. Yeah.
Don't let her listen to me.
let me know
dude.
what you
She'll-
think.
I'll fuck up your whole date, regardless of what she is. All right, we got one last question here right in front of us. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to come back to the earlier topic of this battle that's going on. And we've assembled a stellar cast of guys who are at the forefront of this battle. I'll be honest, I don't know the full history of the speaker lineup of all the previous years of 21 Convention. But do you guys think that we ought to find a woman as well that embodies these ideas and can help move the cause forward? Because I think, a lot of women are going to look up and say, "Oh, it's all men. I don't want to listen to them."
Mhm.
What do you guys think? And do any names come to mind?
So you're saying the 21 convention specifically getting a woman speaker?
No.
I would just no. There's no
Well,
way.
let's clarify the question. That's the question.
It doesn't have to be specifically the 21 Convention, but
Yeah.
I've already heard several no's. Is it a unanimous no? But
Yeah, of
what do you
course it
think,
is.
Anthony?
Kidding
Since
me?
you're the
Yeah. I mean, everybody can put your opinion on. Hell yeah.
I don't think this is the place for it, but I would strongly encourage women that have these values to put together an event for women to combat feminism and to to combat combat feminism, and to save rational femininity from what that's becoming. They can put together their own event like this.
On Twitter, we're all on Twitter. There are red pill groupies,
Yes, there are.
Oh, yeah.
and
Daddy
I
right
find
A
that
lot.
some of the ladies that like my posts give me thumbs up, retweet, are more like-minded. And what a great, I think the web is a great way to at least start the vetting process, because it's better to be with someone who has shared values.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking for a woman to agree with everything I say, but I want her to agree with the important things, the things that are the deal breakers. And you have to differentiate between your groupies and the ones who are just following you to criticize you. And we have those as well. But they end up blocking us before,
Too much heat.
absolutely. And they take themselves out of the game. They come in and they agree and thumbs up. And then after, I keep saying, they can't hang in with us for very long. There's a handful that just watch all of our tweets and they're dropping off little by little. So, but the ones that hang in there, I think, admire us.
I think they do. I'll say this. Women can't lead. Women can't lead other women. They can't lead other women. They can't lead other men. Let's say that there was a 32 convention, right? The female version of the 21 convention. That's not going to gain any. And listen, the red pill women, bless their precious little hearts for giving it the old college try. It is an abject disaster. It is a circus. It is a dumpster fire over there. And the reason for this is because women don't lead other women. It takes a strong man to build a feminine woman. You cannot leave women to their own devices. It just doesn't work that way, because if the 32 convention were to ever jump off, it would turn into red pill women, where they're advising girls to have threesomes with their husbands at his desire. Now all of a sudden you're advising women to flirt with your coworkers in front of your husband to get his attention. So unfortunately, here's the thing though, women inherently know what it takes to, or at least I would like to think they inherently know what it takes to keep a man. It's not like women out here are incapable of doing what's necessary to be feminine. It's just that they're choosing not to. They don't need a convention to learn how to be feminine. Women are born, right? Men are made, women are born. Women already know this stuff. It's just really a matter of choice. So yeah, I think I speak for Anthony when I say, is there ever going to be a female presenter or female speaker at the 21 convention? Fuck no.
Thank God.
You have to, anytime you have men together, there's a dynamic of brotherhood. When you bring a woman in, I would think in a hypothetical scenario, if we could truly find someone that was, if we could truly find a woman that was extremely feminine, because within the mind and the psyche, anytime a man encounters a feminine woman, she shows him everything that he is not. That's why femininity for some men is very threatening or intimidating, because if you see someone who is beautiful and she's graceful and she's well-spoken, and you're never going to be enough of a man for her to ever want you because you form no polarity with her, in that model, a woman can show you what you need to become. As far as bringing in a woman like that here, that would be a shit show. And that'd be her coming up on stage. And even if she said some good stuff where it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
My God.
Half the guys in the audience are going to want to sleep with her. The other half are going to be weird. And then the dynamic, because it is a woman now amongst men, we all can't talk to each other honestly, because we're going to start talking. There's going to be guys here who start talking, wanting her approval, or what does she think? That always happens. You put any woman in a group of men, she will automatically become both the center of attention and the center point of destruction for everybody. It undermines the entire brotherhood. That's why men need to do things with other men and no women by themselves. That works.
And this is exactly
works.
why women consistently try to invade male space.
spaces.
They come in with the intent, we just want to help you see the other side. No, you don't. You want to infiltrate. You guys want to be the Trojan horse. You know, every swinging dick within a 1 mile radius of where you sit is going to change everything. This is
I was
exactly what they
waiting
do.
for the swinging dick to come into this.
Well, the other factor too is that when the woman becomes the center of attention, now what does that do? It puts all the attention on them. They get the social validation of all these guys want me, like me. These women always
Look at me, you know.
So
we know this. We all know this.
I'll put in my 2 cents on this. At this point, the 21 convention is a strictly male space. We do a lot of few women in, girlfriends, wives, sisters, stuff
Sure,
like that.
yeah.
But in terms of being on the now, I do like a few female thinkers today and in the past. Ayn Rand, and more currently, you see like women like Dr. Helen Smith. They have some great ideas and they can do some great thinking. That's fantastic. I support them. But in terms of speaking at this convention, I think you said it's a giant fucking hell no.
Yeah.
This
All
is a
right.
male space.
Yeah.
It's a male locker
Hell
room.
no.
You're not welcome to lead it at this level. I mean, if you want to kick ass with your own thinking, your own work, let's talk in some other way
Right.
and go do it. But this is a male space, and it's not. This platform, this stage, is not for women to preach to men. It's for men to talk with other men and figure out what the fuck's going on, how to fix it, lead the West, and bring it to a much better future.
All right, and with that, that's going to bring the conclusion of episode 36 of the Red Men Group live here in Orlando, Florida. I'm going to go across the panel, and you're going to tell our audience where they can find you, what work you're doing, websites, blogs, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to start with Sam Bada there right at the end.
All right, here at the convention, I've gotten a lot of questions about what saved my life, what has kept me alive after having a major stroke from a hit and run accident. And so I've just switched livefearless.com to a place that tells all the secrets that most doctors don't even understand. And it's all very inexpensive. Just tell you where to get what I take. It's mostly supplements. I've recently lost 70 pounds in the past 6 months.
Wow.
And so I'm just going to just give you access to everything.
On Twitter, you are
Sam Botta on Twitter, SAMBOTTA, and livefearless.com.
excellent. Goldman?
You can find me at goldmanunleashed.com. That's where my main body of work is. There's paid for content, the real high quality stuff, my best writing and photographs. There's also hundreds of free articles. Instagram at Goldman Unleashed and Twitter at Goldman Unleash.
Where can we get one of these hats?
That's a secret.
Oh, damn. Almost had him. George.
People can email me. I don't like just gawkers. I like interactors. So you can email me, GB, my initials, gb@georgebruno.com. Contact me personally. Let's start a relationship. Let's collaborate on something.
Man, that makes me sound bad. I'm getting ready to. Well, you guys can find. Well, listen, I'm not as distinguished and debonair here as George Bruno. You guys can find me on DonovanSharp.com. Go to YouTube, search Donovan Sharp. I'm on weekdays, weekday mornings at 10 a.m., 7 Pacific. You guys can find me also on Patreon.com/Donovan Sharp.
I got a lot of stuff on the internet. Pretty much any social media account, you can type @BeachMuscles or @Dream. Usually it's @BeachMuscles, nice and triggering. I'm also on YouTube at youtube.com/21. That's /21. 21studios.com, 21university.com, and the 21convention.com.
Okay, that's very good. AJ?
Myself, I have a Twitter presence, AJA_Cortez with an S. You can obviously always find me on Twitter. I do have a website. I don't really update my website. My email list is what I email almost every day. A lot of the subjects that we discussed this week and I've talked about a lot. My architect presentation was from the email list. Alexander Juan Antonio Cortez, full name. That's my website. Get on the email list. That's the best place to reach me if you want to have a conversation, you need help. If you want me to talk about something that you think is valid, just send me an inquiry. We can talk about it. And that's it. Like I said, that's almost daily. So you're always going to get content that way. And by the estimations of everybody on the list, it's pretty good. So.
And you can find me at baye.com. It's just BAYE.com. And on pretty much any social media with just looking for Drew Baye. Mostly information on fitness, building muscle, losing fat, getting fit in as efficient and safe a manner as possible.
Okay, that's going to do it for episode 36 of the Red Man Group. Real quick, I'd like to special thanks to Anthony Johnson for allowing me to participate in this. This has been an experience, man. This has been a world-class event. Everything is top-notch, from George to the production staff, the lighting. Everything has been it's been professional on an unbelievable level. This was an unbelievable event. Thank you for having me, and hopefully you'll have me next year. That's going to do it for episode 36. Thank you guys for attending, and we'll see you next year.
What was your experience so far with the 21 convention?
Oh, outstanding. Professional all across the board.
Really good energy with a lot of people, and I just like it because it's a very positive direction.
This, George, this has been a first-class event.
It's fantastic. You guys run a really tight ship. I've been to a lot of conventions. over the course of my business career, and I can tell when things are well run and when things aren't, and this is a very well run operation. I was very impressed.
It's pretty incredible to see where Anthony's brought it, especially from last year, which was my first year here, and to see the upgrades he's made has been incredible.
I've got my notebook, and with every speaker, I've written down about 2 or 3 lines under each of the speakers of just the key prime stuff that I got. That's good. That's good.
It's very surreal, man. I'm really enjoying it. I'm happy to live in such an era where such a thing like this is possible.
I have never seen a group of guys like this, a group of 200 men who are focused, squared away, they're working on their values. Just never met a bigger group of wonderful guys.
It's kind of neat because I've been to a fair amount of conventions in my day, but you never see one where the guys like here you can just see Ed Lattimore talking to Tanner about boxing.
Yeah.
You just sit down and then you tell your boxing experiences. Everybody's kind of pinging off each other. It's nice.
It has been fantastic. And it's been 4 days of guys all on the same page, working in the same direction.
Fascinating meeting some of the people, hearing their stories. You got people traveling from other parts of the world to come here just to see some of the speakers. That's amazing.
The thing that's impressed me is everybody here is very serious.
Yeah.
They're taking it close to their heart.
What a great convention.
Thanks, George.